Good morning. It is 7:23. I've been up for over an hour already. Also, we were up at like 3:30 because baby. But my child was just like playing quietly and nicely by himself. And I thought, why don't I just really quickly start filming? But of course, it took me 5,000 years to get set up. And now he's very interested in the tripod situation. So we'll see how long this lasts. But I wanted to, why do I have 500,000 pillows right here? Because I was trying to like have a cute aesthetic. That's why. But I'm kind of like, okay. I'm a little bit overstimulated this morning. It's fine. We're doing great. We're doing great. Okay. So here's the deal. I have rehearsal today. I'm starting rehearsals for a new show. Yahoo. We love being booked and blessed. We love it. Okay. So I have to be at the theater today. I have a sitter coming in like, what did I say? 7:25. Yes. Yes, very true. I have a sitter coming today in like an hour and a half. So I'll have a couple of hours to kind of like be productive, get my life together, do some things before I have to be at the theater. So between now and when the sitter gets here in an hour and a half, we have to like get our lives together. We have to get ready. I have to make lunches for myself and for my child. I need to get my materials together so that I am set up to be productive for the next 2 hours, or for the 2 hours that I will have to myself before rehearsal. So I thought I might take you guys along for the ride because I have, okay, this is probably going to sound crazy to some people, but I'm really actually very excited about it. So yesterday I made the decision to rebrand, even though I'm only 2 videos in and there's really nothing to rebrand. Here's the thing. I don't love the name that I have established for my channel, my art stuff, whatever. A little backstory. So back in like 2015, 2016, I started a journey to do hand lettering and watercolors. And I loved it very, very much. I still love it very, very much. It's just one of those things that I find more difficult to do with a 1-year-old than the knit and crochet. The knit and crochet stuff feels a lot more manageable to handle with my son at his age because I can pick it up and put it down and pick it up and put it down. Do a couple stitches, leave it alone. It's not a big deal. Whereas like if I pull out all the paints and all the things to do my watercolors and I'm painting and something crazy happens and now I have to get up, well, it's possible that what I have is now ruined because it has dried. If you know anything about watercolors, you know that a lot of times you have to work really quickly because the water will dry. And then you're stuck with whatever you have. And there are things you can do to fix things, or you can paint over things, kind of, but like, it just feels much more difficult to manage. Plus, like, it's messier, right? You've got paints, you've got water, you have literal, like, I use jars. So like you have jars of water, you have very expensive materials and things that I don't necessarily want my child getting into. If he gets into some yarn, yes, I know you love the yarn. If he gets into some yarn and it gets all tangled, like, okay, I can detangle it. I can like give him cheap acrylic. I can give him cheap yarn to play with. And it's like so not a big deal to me. And once he's a little bit older and he can handle like paints and things, yes, I will start painting again and we will paint together and it will be fun and grand. And that's not to say that I never paint or that I don't want to paint, but I'm going on a tangent that is not, it's relevant, but it's not important. And time is precious, as you can see. I don't know how much of this I'll get out. So anyway, the point is, I don't do as much painting and calligraphy and hand lettering as I used to. That's actually not the point at all. The actual point is that I started doing that back in like 2015, 2016. And I started a little business with it. Like I was doing some commissions for people. I did some workshops. I did like, I was building a little something, something, and I called it Cranberry Ink, INK. And it was kind of gaining some traction. And I did this for several years, but it was very much on the side. Like I did a couple of markets. I designed a day planner that I actually think is really cool, and I would love to bring that back someday. It's a matter of capacity. But anyway, so I did all these things, and like I said, it was called Cranberry Ink. Awesome. Well, then my life kind of took a twist and a turn, and I kind of stepped away from it to focus on something else. And then after a couple years or maybe a year, I was like, that was kind of a mistake. I want to go back to art. But by that point, I had started knitting and crocheting, and then I was also dabbling with some other stuff. Like I had really found my love, like my real love of flowers. If you didn't know, I love flowers. I'm obsessed with flowers. I love plants. I love outside. I love the sun, nature, plants, flowers, yes. But specifically flowers. I did my own flowers for my wedding, and that kind of sparked something in me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love flowers. I already knew I loved flowers. Most of my watercolor stuff was really focused on watercolor florals and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I decided to start to kind of like shut down Cranberry Ink and pivot to have more variance in my artwork. And I felt that Cranberry Ink kind of pigeonholed me into like paint and ink, right? Like watercolors, hand lettering. Whereas now I was doing more stuff. I was doing things with flowers. I was creating flower crowns. I was knitting. I was crocheting. I was still painting and hand lettering, but I was doing all these other things as well. So that's when I started Wild Daughter Arts. And Wild Daughter has been a thing that has been really like, it's just been on my mind for a really long time. I love the phrase. I love the phrase wild daughter. I think it holds a lot of significance for me, and I think it's just really, like, I just love it. But I don't love it as like a brand name. I think there are too many syllables. Wild Daughter Arts. The wild daughter, like the DD, don't love that. I just think it's cumbersome as a name. So yesterday I was talking to my sister and I was like, you're going to think I'm crazy because I have already rebranded once, right? I had Cranberry Ink, which was actually like a really good name that was not significant at all. It was just like words that I picked that I thought sounded good together and was like fun. I had Cranberry Ink, pushed that aside, came to Wild Daughter Arts. Well, now I'm like, I don't love Wild Daughter Arts because I just don't like it. I like the phrase. I don't like it as a brand name. So my sister and I were going back and forth yesterday. She was like, girl, you got to like pick something and stick to it. So I hope this isn't bothering anybody. I mean, if it is, like, sorry, I've got a child. This is my reality. Hopefully it's very much in the background because I do have the mic and with the noise canceling and everything, I'm hoping that it's just kind of like a faint little cutie thing in the background. So my sister and I were jamming on some ideas, brainstorming yesterday, and I came up with a name that I'm really excited about and happy with, and I think will actually lend itself very well to growth. I think it will meld with me as I inevitably shift and weave and evolve over time. Because that's just kind of my nature, right? I'm a free spirit, as they say. I just kind of like float along, go where the wind takes me, and I'm really into just like following my gut and following my interests. And that's not to say that there won't be some consistency. There has to be some consistency if I want to build something substantial, or not substantial, but like if I want to build something, you know? So anyway, the name that we landed on, or that I landed on, is wilder.handmade. And I love it. I think it is so much easier to remember. It's so much easier to say. It's so much better. Wilder. And the wild part of Wild Daughter is what was really important to me, is just being like your authentic self, not worrying so much about conforming to whatever. Like I don't want to get too woo-woo, too heady about it, but just like natural. Speaking of natural, we're making a mess, but that is life with a 1-year-old. So yeah, natural, instinctual, like just not worrying about doing what people expect of you or doing what's like acceptable, if that makes sense. Just being wild about it and taking risks and like all kinds of things. And that's not to say that I'm going to do anything crazy, but I mean, maybe some people already think what I'm doing is crazy. Maybe some people think that putting on cat makeup to go dance on stage for a bunch of people in a production of Cats as my job is crazy. I think a lot of people probably think that actually, and that's fine. You can think that. I love it. It's what I love to do, and I bring a lot of joy to a lot of people doing it, and I think art is really, really important. But that's another tangent that we don't need to go into right now. Point is, I have a new name, Wilder Handmade. Wild is very important to me, and Wilder also holds significance as a reference to my son. So I'm excited about that. And then handmade, I think, is perfect. Okay, the minutes are numbered. We are about to lose this tripod. So handmade. So anyway, yes, handmade I think is great because it allows me to just explore and do a lot of we're losing the tripod. We're switching to handheld as I finish this up. Okay, so to wrap this little portion up, I'm really excited about what this means. So today, with these couple of hours, I am going to spend some of that time just kind of drawing up maybe a new like title, logo situation. I also, one of the goals that I have, is I like mess around with this tripod. This is chaotic. It's fine. One of the goals that I have just in general is to do some markets. So I have some ideas for some products that I would like to work on for a market that I think would work really well in a market. And I will explain more about my ideas for the markets. I don't have anything lined up yet, but just in general, I'll explain more about that later. Actually, maybe I can go back on the tripod here for a minute and just finish this up. Oh, he spotted it. I don't know how long we're going to have. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to gather up some supplies. I am going to get some yarn. Again, my yarn stash is in the couch, in the like storage section of the couch. So I'm going to pull out some yarn for some experimentation. I'm going to grab some of my like a sketchbook and some markers and things to try and just like sketch up a new design for a logo. I have some merch ideas already because I'm crazy. And we are going to be productive this morning and make some moves because I'm ready to make the moves and not just talk about the moves, but actually do the things. So that's the plan for this morning. The last thing, and I don't know if I'll actually be able to show this to you right now. I would like to show you the progress I'm making on my sweater. We're moving. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Oh my goodness. So the last thing before I sign off, and I think I can get this in real quick, is just showing you the progress that I'm making on my Rainbloom pullover. The yoke is almost done. Guys, the yoke is almost done. Yay. I have, I think like 4 rows left of the color work. And then we are moving on to the main body. And I think she looks fan-freaking-tastic. The lighting's not fantastic right now. It's like uncharacteristically dark and gloomy outside, which it actually has been kind of for a minute now. In Arizona, we've had monsoons, haboobs, the whole thing. Which if you don't know, a haboob is a dust storm. So that happened. And it's just been like muggy and humid, which is also uncharacteristic for Arizona. And or for our area of Arizona at least, and kind of dark and gray. So the lighting's not fantastic, but that's okay. There she is. So I am thrilled with this. I need to try it on for sure, but I don't have a barber cord, so maybe once we finish the color work, I'll put it on some scrap yarn, or maybe we'll just wing it. Oh my gosh. Womp womp. Anyway, that's that. I'll talk more about this later. I think I should go for the time being. We'll check in later.
it is so very many days later, probably at least a week. I actually filmed this segment yesterday in my car while I was waiting for little man to wake up from a nap, but I just wasn't happy with it. So we're going again today. Take two. We're gonna get it better today. Not that this is much better being on my balcony with this very not aesthetically pleasing background. I wanted our balcony to be super, super cute, but I've never really found the time to make it really cute. I wonder why. It's not like I've got a bunch of other really important things going on. Also, we definitely have some street noise, but I'm hoping that with the mic, we don't have too much of that. So anyway, I just want to kind of wrap things up here right now, update you on the progress that I've made on my projects, give you a little bit more information about the rebranding. I feel so weird saying that because it's like, what am I rebranding? You know, I'm just getting started, but I think it's an important step to take now before I do get too far in and then it's harder to make these changes. So I want to give you a little bit of updating and just a little bit more information on that because I'm really excited about it and I'm excited to share it with you. But let's start with the big whip, which is my Rainbloom pullover. So I have my bag of tricks right here, which, you know, I switch out my project bag, knitting bag all the time, and I like can never stick to one thing. I don't have any dedicated project bags. I don't have any of those fancy ones like the snaps and things like that. The Delicue, which they're so cute, and I'm sure if I had one, I would absolutely love it. But I really just use tote bags, things like this that I have around. I actually store a lot of my projects in laundry, or I'm sorry, these aren't laundry bags. These are produce bags. These are reusable produce bags that I bought a really, really long time ago. And I never really take them to the grocery store because I forget that I have them. But I have them in a bunch of different sizes and they're actually perfect because they have this drawstring on them. They're really lightweight. And because I have so many different sizes, they're great for so many different projects with different yarns and things like that. So that's what I store a lot of my yarn and stuff in. And one day I will take you through my yarn stash and all of those dedicated projects and I will show you how I've organized the whole thing. But today is not that day. Today, we are going to talk first, like I said, about the Rainbloom pullover. And I'm really excited, y'all, because I have finished the color work yoke. I am psyched. I love the way it turned out. I think it's beautiful. Look at that. Here it is. It's kind of curling up a little bit. So let me see if I can. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. Maybe you can see that a little bit better now. It's hard because obviously it's on the needle, so it's not going to be as flat as it will be in real life, but there she is. I am so happy with how this turned out. I'm really proud of myself. I think for my first, it's not my first stranded color work, but it's like my first stranded color work circular yoke sweater. It's my first stranded color work of this level, I guess you could say, of this intricacy that I've actually like finished. I do have a Christmas stocking in process, but that's been on hold for quite a while and I only got like this far in it maybe, so just a few inches. But this is the yoke and I think it looks so good and I love the way the colors have changed in the self-striping yarn. You can see we've got quite a bit of variety. Like we have even some like this really, really pretty vibrant blue up top and then we move into these greens and pinks and then down into the grays and yellows. And as much as I don't love the gray, yellow, chartreuse situation, I think it looks really nice with the rest of it. And I'm not mad at it at all. I think it gives a nice gradient. I think it's really, really beautiful. I wish there was a little bit more of this blue, but the good news is that there is more color work on the cuffs. So once I get to the cuffs, I'm going to see where I'm at. Actually, I can just look at it. So looking at the yarn, if I start the cuffs exactly where I left off, we'll be starting with gray again, and then we'll move into the pink. But I do see some blue poking through. So we'll see how I feel when I get that far, but I might cheat a little bit and ball up these first several feet of yarn and then start with the blue once we get into the cuffs. But it'll also depend on, well, I was about to say, it'll also depend on if I decide to do the sleeves two at a time, but I don't think I'll be able to do that with the color work because I only have the one skein. So I would have to split this anyway if I was going to do that. I don't know if that's something I want to do, but we'll find out. But anyway, I did the short rows on this on the back side. I think they look nice. I don't know if you can really tell on camera what you're looking at, but I did do the short rows. They're German short rows. I hadn't done German short rows in a really long time. And I ended up refrogging them and redoing them because I thought I didn't like them. I didn't like the way that I had closed them when I was going back around. And so I did look up a tutorial. I gave myself a refresher. I went back and redid it, and I think it looks a lot better. There are still like one or two gaps that I'm not thrilled with, but I can always go back at the end and kind of cinch those up a little bit with a little tack. But overall, so much better than the first time. And I think, yeah, it's going really, really nicely. So I have a few more rounds to do to finish the yoke depth. And then I believe I will split for sleeves, and then I'll be knitting stockinette for the rest of my life on the body. And then once that's done, I'll be on Sleeve Island. So this is going to take a little bit of time, mostly because I don't have endless hours these days to just sit and knit like maybe I once did. So it's not something that I can just knock out really quickly, but it is something that I will finish because I'm not going to let all of this hard work go to waste. So I'm excited. I'm excited to keep going. But I will also say that I'm excited to also cast on something new so that I usually like to have multiple projects going, but I think it will be nice to have one project that's just super mindless, just stockinette forever, and then something else that requires a little bit more attention and but something a little bit more detailed. So I think it's finally time to cast on the Saugerties. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that sweater with the colorwork band with the mountains and the bears. I'm so excited about it. I'm so scared. Provisional cast on. I haven't done it in forever. I've never steeked. It's more color work, which will be really fun, but also kind of scary. So I am looking forward to it, though. I think that's going to be fun. In fact, today I am going to be at the theater for most of the day. We have 2 shows. I'm in a new show now. I'm in a stage musical production of Grumpy Old Men. If you've ever seen the movie, then you know the basic premise of it is just 2 old dudes fighting over a woman. But it's actually hilarious, and the audiences seem to really be liking it, so that's cool. But anyway, I'm in show for that. So I will have some time to do some stuff, so perhaps I will bring all my supplies to cast on the new project. But I will keep you all updated on that. In other news, you saw some montage footage of me working on some stuff in the coffee shop. That was so nice to have some time to just go to the coffee shop and be by myself and just work on some things. I was actually super productive. It was a fluke that I ended up having that time, but I'm so glad that I did because, like I said, I got so much done and it just felt really nice to do something that I love uninterrupted and take some time for myself. So what I was working on is something that I have been thinking about for a while. So I have some scraps, like we all do, of sock yarns and really thin fingering weight yarns that I'm not a sock knitter either. I just happen to have these scraps of yarn from other projects where I use sock yarn. So I have like this one, which is really pretty. And like, these aren't really my colors, but I still think it's really pretty. And some of these things, it's like, I bought these skeins of yarn such a long time ago before I really knew what I was doing. And I was just like buying yarn because it was pretty. But like, yeah, it's pretty, but these are not my colors. Like, I like it, but I don't know what version of Emma bought this. You know what I mean? I have some of this, which again, really pretty, but also not really my colors at all. And also this yarn, I have no idea what this is. It's been a long time with this. I actually knitted up a project with this and then hated it. And then years later ended up frogging it. I frogged this not actually that long ago. So now I have a few balls of this that should equal theoretically 1 full skein. But I don't know when I bought it or where I bought it or what it is. But I will tell you it's not nearly as soft as like some of the other sock yarns that I have. So I do think that it's wool, but I don't believe it to be superwash, and it might be 100% wool. It's a little bit scratchy. I'm not really sure what that is, but I have this one, same kind of thing. Who bought this? I did, but what version of me? Because pretty, but not my style again. And then this one, which this I do know where this came from, and this is very much more in the realm of what I like. And I know that I actually have a full skein of this still, a full hank of this that has yet to be wound. So this is from, I bought this at a local yarn shop in one of the beach towns in North Carolina that I can't think of right now, but I bought a sweater's quantity worth, and then I ended up making a tank top and a onesie for my kid. So I didn't make a sweater. So now I have this scrap and then one hank left, and I haven't really known what to do with them, but I've been experimenting. So one of the things that I really want to do with my business is markets. I used to do markets back in the day when my business was Cranberry Ink, which I think I talked about a little bit at the beginning of this video. And I used to do markets, and they were so fun, and I really enjoyed them because I like the interaction, I like the social aspect of it. And I love physical things. Like online shopping is fine, but I like physical things, so I like being at the place to sell my physical things, if that makes sense. So I really want to do some markets, but I've been thinking a lot about how I want to market myself at these markets and what my booth is going to look like and all these things. And it was easy back then because I had a multitude of different kinds of things, but they were all hand lettering, watercolor adjacent. This time, I want to be able to incorporate all of my arts and crafts. So I still want to incorporate my hand lettering and watercolors, but now I have my knitting and my crocheting. And I don't know if I've talked about it on this channel, but I love flowers. I did all my flowers for my wedding. We did not hire a florist. I did all the flowers, and that really opened my eyes to how much I love flowers. And then I started making flower crowns because I made myself a flower crown for my wedding. I'll put a picture in here because I'm actually really proud of it. And to this day, it's my favorite flower crown that I've ever made. But I've made several of them, and I've always thought it would be really cool to sell them at festivals, Renaissance fairs, even like your regular Saturday markets, whatever. So I want to incorporate that. And then alongside of that, I do things with dried florals as well. So I make some art pieces with dried flowers. So I have a lot of different things that I do and that I'm working on. So I wanted to kind of be able to bring them all together, which is why I started Wild Daughter Arts in the first place. Now, Wilder Handmade. So I think the through line of all of these things, the things that's going to bring everything together, is going to be flowers and floral motifs and just really leaning into that floral aesthetic. So in my brain, the booth is very like boho chic, natural materials, really soft, beautiful, inviting, warm, floral things that are not kitschy. I want things to be very delicate, very elegant, and very useful. Like obviously there will be decorative things, wall hangings, things of that nature, but I also want to have a lot of functional things, especially when it comes to my crochet. I don't see myself selling any knit items because knitting takes so much longer and I would end up outpricing myself, and I don't want to do that. I knit for myself, but crocheting, I feel that I can put things together quickly enough that it would be viable for selling. So all of that being said, I have been experimenting with taking these really fine yarns, and by fine I mean thin, like fingering weight yarns, and creating essentially different types of granny squares and then seeing what I can create with different types of granny squares. So my first idea that I have actually completed is this, and I say completed, but it's not done. It needs to be blocked. A few ends need to be woven in still, and it generally needs a little bit of zhuzhing in the pattern itself, but I created this little bookmark, which could also theoretically be like a small wall hanging, or even if you wanted to use it as a bag charm or like a mirror charm or something like that, you absolutely could. But it's just three small, I adjusted some numbers, but three small sunburst granny squares. That I then slip stitched together, put a single crochet border around, added some tassels, and then added the little hanger at the top. It's kind of wavy in the shape-in, so it needs to be blocked, and I actually think starching it might also be a nice touch. I've never done that, but I know it's a thing that you can do, and I think it might be really nice. This end is actually popping out. So yeah, this is by no means like sellable. This was, like I said, an experiment, but I I like a lot of aspects of it. I like the way the tiny squares turned out. I love the color variation and how that's working up. Okay, so we've moved back inside. My phone overheated out there, so we're risking it with the nap, but hopefully we can get through this before little man wakes up. So anyway, I was saying that I have issues with variegated yarn. I think they're so beautiful in the hank and I love them even when they're wound up. I think they're so pretty. And then when I start working with them, I'm like, I don't love this as much. Like it makes a beautiful fabric, but it's not usually my style. So then I kind of struggle with it. So I'm trying to figure out different ways to utilize variegated yarn so that it actually showcases the way I want it to showcase in something that I really like and that will end up being usable for me. So anyway, yeah, so I'm happy. Like I said, I'm happy with the idea of this and we'll keep working on it and we will get even further. So I was working on some other things too, on some different granny squares, some different ideas. This one was like, so why am I so far away from the camera? Or why is the camera so far away from me? I guess is the better question. I guess I can just move you closer. Readjust, readjust. So like this one, for example, is all wavy and weird because it just didn't work. But that's okay because then I made some adjustment to my numbers and I figured out something better. I tried this one with some color changing, which again, I like the idea, but not super happy with how it came out. Overall, I was trying to like lean more into that, like it's a flower kind of thing. But yeah, I have some more work to do. I want to look up some different granny square patterns and things so that I can try some different stuff. This one I think is really cute. It's just your traditional granny square, but it's so tiny and so cute. So I'm also like trying to think of different things that I can use granny squares for. Like I have this bookmark, but I could also put together, like how cute would it be to have a bunch of these tiny squares together to make like a book sleeve or a pouch of some kind, but like so many of them. And I know that that would take some time, but because they're so small, they do work up really quickly and I'm having fun. I'm just having fun making them. So like I said, I have a lot of other ideas, but that's kind of where we're at with that. The last thing that I want to update you guys on is you had seen me working on some hand lettering when I was at the coffee shop. So I'm working on the logo for Wilder Handmade. And I think I got something pretty good. So I kind of want to take you through my sketchbook here. So this is the first page and it's not very good. So don't judge my skills based on this, but this is the first page. So we started off with just like some basic stuff, tried some different styles. And then I wasn't happy with them. I was like, that's really pretty hand lettering. It's not the vibe though. And I want this to have a very distinct vibe to it. And I'm not even really sure what that vibe is. Like I said, natural, warm, boho, cool, great. But like going further than that, like with really nitty gritty specific details, I have it in my brain, but I don't know how to verbalize it quite yet. So, but we started to kind of play around with some different styles here. So I felt like I was kind of getting somewhere. And then I started to mess with that idea more specifically. And you can see I starred the ones that I actually liked. So these are just a little bit more specific in the style of them. And then you can see I tried some different stuff with the handmade. So like the block letters versus a different cursive font. But I think the block lettering is actually better with that. So then I took those because I'm like, okay, I'm starting to really narrow down on what I like. And I created these, which I'm actually so happy with. I really, really like these and I'm really excited about these. So they still need a little bit of zhuzhing. I do think that I like having the lines on either side of the logo, but I think I like the block lettering underneath. So taking a couple of elements from each to create the new logo. The tricky thing is I used to do all of this kind of work, like logos and things that needed to be printed, things that needed to go on a website, things of that nature. I used to do all of that stuff on an iPad because it was just easier to make it super, super clean. Whereas like, I think this is beautifully clean, right? But I don't have the skills to put that into a program to make it into like what you would expect to see from a logo, if that makes sense. And I know these days I could like throw it into an AI program, but we don't need to get into this, but like I don't use AI. That is not something that I want to partake in. So I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to figure out a way to make this, like turn this into my logo for real. And there are ways to do it, and I know there are ways to do it. I just have to figure it out without my iPad, because I had figured it out with the iPad. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with where we're going with this. So, I mean, I've got a lot of stuff working here. Like I have my logo going, I have product ideas, I have my personal projects with my sweater, I have a whip in mind. I have so many things going on, and it's really, really, really exciting. And I just can't wait to see how it all shakes out and how it all comes together. It's slower going than I would like it to be, just because of the nature of my life right now, being a mom and working and being in show, which, you know, being in show is so important to me, and my career as an actress is so important to me, and obviously being a mom is so important to me. So while this stuff is also important to me, it falls lower on the priority list right now, which, you know, I think is okay. And I think there might be some people out there that don't like that I said that, but I think it's okay that that's just kind of where I'm at right now in my life, because you do have to prioritize. And it's not to say that you can't do the things that you want to do. You just have to know that sometimes it's going to look a little bit different than maybe you originally thought. And again, that's okay. That's totally okay. So we're going slowly. We're taking it day by day. And I'm really happy with where we're at. So I think I'm going to wrap this vlog up here. I think there's plenty here to kind of entertain or like give a full vlog. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending some time with me. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I hate doing outros. I never know how to end these things. Even in my real life, like when I'm leaving a voice message or a voicemail or even a video message to a friend, I'm always like, well, I don't know how to end this, and then I just blab. So I won't do that here. I will just leave you with this simple reminder to subscribe if you're enjoying my content, and to give the video a thumbs up to help me out a little bit as I get started with this journey on YouTube. And again, thanks for being here, and I will see you next time.